You ready? Let's do this. Here we are, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Rise and Thrive Together with Dr. Raquel, Stuart, and Regina Rossi-Lamothe. Here we are on episode number 9, July 10th, 2023. Hey, sis, didn't get to see you. We had a recorded video last week for 4th of July. So I know we had a little blip there last week.
We did?
And so I'm just very interested. I did see the replay. And but I just want to thank you for being who you are, because this is what Rise and Thrive Together is. You held down that fort, you made that happen. And just want to thank you and love to know how your 4th was. And since I was on vacation, anything that you want to share with the community.
No. The 4th was quiet as always. Just stayed home. Not much going on, but I like it like that sometimes. And no, I think that's good. I've just been trying to make jewelry, get ready for tonight's show. I'm super excited. And I'm so excited. I want you to tell our audience who he is so that we can bring him on. Super excited. Super excited.
Awesome. Well, why don't you just take a moment, just remind the viewers how they can keep on tuning in with us and what they can do to connect.
You guys, you know what? I'm so not used to doing that. So if you want to reach us, our website is riseandthrivetogether.com. Email info@riseandthrivetogether.com. If you want to sponsor us, woohoo, guess what? info@riseandthrivetogether.com. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all of them. It's riseandthrivetogether.com. Did I mention if you want to sponsor this show? Because it's incredible. Also, we are on Roku TV, Laws of Life with Blanca. Got to put that channel in, and poof, we are there, and we will appear, and you'll get to hear us. Did I do it right?
You always do it right. There's no right or wrong. It's just who we are. Well, we are definitely excited about tonight. Tonight, this month, the month of the rest of July, we are going to really talk about community. Mm-hmm. We're always throwing in that mindset work. We're always throwing in that, shattering that limited beliefs, but we are Rise and Thrive Together. We are about community. The impact that community has on us individually, as it has us, as a collective. And tonight, I was like, sis, I got to introduce this person. I am so excited to introduce you guys to Patrick Richwood, who is an incredible actor and an incredible life coach. I know Patrick since 2008, where him and I met in this incredible, transformative, altering, business called Landmark Education. And we did an introduction to leadership program, and we became really who we know ourselves to be, leaders for the world and the community. But let me tell you a little bit about Patrick, because I was just sharing with Patrick and Raquel, this is a moment. I knew Patrick as Patrick, and Patrick has been in incredible movies such as, come on, I'm telling my age, but if you guys have not seen it, you better go see Pretty Woman, right? Everybody knows Pretty Woman. If you have not seen Pretty Woman, and he had a big role in Pretty Woman. And he's also been in Runaway Bride, and he's been in one of my favorite movies called Soul Surfer. And he has been in The Other Sister. He has also done theater in countless, across North America, including Broadway and the Kennedy Center and the White House, people. So we are talking about an incredible, incredible man who also his work has been screened, dubbed in 11 languages, and he has been doing this for 40 years. And knowing him as Patrick, and then getting an opportunity to really embrace all of what he's done, the difference he's made on screen and in theater, and now what he is out to make a difference for you in your life, to literally break those fears. I am excited to bring on my good friend and incredible human being, Patrick Richwood. Woohoo!
Woo! Let's do the wave.
Oh, wait, did I miss it?
Welcome.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you,
Patrick.
guys. So great to see you guys. It's so great to see your beautiful faces. Welcome to my guest bedroom.
Thank you. Welcome to Rise and Thrive Together.
Yay!
Patrick is so
Another
awesome. I
introduction.
met Patrick when he was so kind. Reg introduced me to him, and I was looking for folks to speak to my students. And Patrick was like, "Yeah, sure, I'd love to come." And then he took the train into like New Jersey or the bus or something and walked. I mean, talk about commitment to the community. And he did a phenomenal job. My students absolutely loved him. And he's an amazing guy. I haven't known him as long as Reg, but you know what? Our connection was really and truly solid. So thank you. I'm so excited to have you here tonight, Patrick.
Gosh, these introductions are just blowing me away. I'm like,
Yeah,
who is
that's
this guy
community.
they're talking about? Who is this? I want to meet him.
Well, I think that's perfect, right? Because we have this conversation, and we've all, Raquel, myself, and you have talked about this separately, and we'll talk about it collectively out there. And I just had it in a call an hour prior, which is like we get who we are through others. So we have a way that we think about ourselves. Sometimes it's empowering, and a lot of times it's not so empowering. And then all of a sudden, here's the moment that I get to share who you are in my eyes, in the world of community, the impact that you made. And I'm curious to ask you, like, you're like, ooh, like, oh, it's so overwhelming. But let's be real, because this is real talk, real results. Sometimes when you hear that, what's that little voice that's going on in your head when that's happening?
Honestly, for me, it's like, who are they talking about? It's not so much overwhelming as it is like, it's kind of unbelievable because like you said, I've been doing this for 40 years. I'm 60. I'm going to be, it'll be about 43 years I've been acting professionally, making a living. And you kind of go, how did that happen? You know what I mean? I'm sure everybody has these moments in their life where it's like, what the hell? I mean, how did I do all that? And also you're seeing it in reference to all that you feel you haven't done yet, or certainly I am. I'm always in the recipe too. And for me, the better endeavor is to say, how can I let that part go? How can I let what I should have done by now, or what I expect to do, or because otherwise it's kind of muddies the water of the appreciation.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
So what goes through my head a lot of times is like, how did all that happen? Where was I when that all happened? I mean, you mentioned Pretty Woman. Pretty Woman will be, or was 30, like when? 90, 91, 2000. In 2001, it turned 30. I mean, wow. 2021, right? Is that right?
Yes.
Came out in 91. Is that right? Or it came out in 90. Anyway, the point is, that's 3 decades. It's like, oh my God, I need a nap.
And when you talk about the impact, when you talk about community, that movie stands the time. My daughter is 7. Now, Lexi does not know yet of Pretty Woman. And by the way, at 4:00 this afternoon, it was on TV. She was home from camp today. I turned it on and I said, "Ooh, can mommy turn this on for a minute?" Because she was in the middle of watching something and it was commercial. And she said, "What's this?" And I said, "My friend's going to be on our show tonight, Raquel and I show tonight. And he's in this movie." And she's like, "You have a friend in this movie?" And like we watched it, and it wasn't the scene yet. But the fact is, I have tons of friends and tons of people of all ages. And I'd love for people, Odelia, you're listening, anybody else who's listening, how many people have seen that movie? And you do not have to be my age at 55 and 60 and 50. We're talking people at 19 and 18. And, it's the music that when they say it becomes classic, Patrick, you're in a movie that is a classic movie 30 years later. So sure, you can look back and say, oh, what that, and we don't get so attached, like, to make it the thing, because there's tons of classic Patrick to still create and leave a legacy on. But like, let's own that.
I
We're
love
in a
that.
classic movie.
The best is yet to come, and babe, won't it be fine? Or whatever it is. I can't remember the lyrics. Hey,
So
come
Susan said
Broadway.
hi. Susan said she's seen it a whole lot of times. She wants to know, ask how many times has she seen it?
How many times have you
We're
seen it?
asking Susan. But Patrick, I've got a question for you.
Mm.
Did you always know you wanted to be an actor? Or was there something else you wanted to do and then you stumbled into acting? How would you phrase it?
Close. I was going to be an artist because my father was a painter and an artist. He started out as a scenic artist in the television world, and then he went into art direction in films, and then eventually production design in films. And he would bring home art supplies all the time, and it was the first thing that ever worked to focus me, because I was the ADHD poster child. I mean it, really. Like, we're talking. There was no frame of reference. They didn't even call it ADHD. They called it hyperkinetic, which sounds like something out of Harry Potter. But it's hyperkinesis. I had it. And all of a sudden, I remember my mom saying to me, your father and I were sitting in the living room having coffee or whatever after dinner, and we suddenly realized we didn't hear you. We got worried. What's happened to him? Where is he? Is he dead? And they found me in my room on the floor drawing with the paper and the giant paper and the pens that my dad had brought home from work. And I never stopped. I still am an artist. I still do. That's my first love. But then when I was 12, I saw, or 11 or 12, I saw my sister in the junior high school play. She was 2 years older than me. She's 2 years older than me. And I kind of went, what's that? And then my parents took me to see, a lot of your people won't know who this is, but a lot of people will. The great, almost invented the genre mime, Marcel Marceau, who in the day toured the world in the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s as the preeminent mime of his time, and he could do anything, and it was just him on a giant stage, all in white, on a giant stage in a spotlight, and he would create a whole worlds with his body, just whole worlds. He'd be going, it was just ridiculous what he could do, and his comedy timing was like, him and Bugs Bunny are my comedy timing, mentors. And I remember I went, I want to do that. I was about 12, and in Los Angeles. And so then I started kind of becoming a performer. We did a Renaissance fair for our 6th grade culmination, and I was the court jester. No. And I just went around and worked the crowd, and it was so much fun. And I was like, this is for keeps. I got bit, and that was that. So I did have a first love, which is art, and I'm still very much an artist, a painter. I make things, I create. I'm always, if it's creative, I love it. And if it's not creative, I'll probably make it creative. Because if it isn't, I just like, I don't want to do it. It's not,
So nice.
I love it. Is there any questions we got, Raquel?
Yes,
no.
Famous French mime artist.
French mime artist, Odelia says.
Nice. Good, Odelia. You get that special star. You know who it is.
You guys look him up, because he is truly
yes, I know who it is. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But I am curious, though, like Raquel was saying. So now here you are. What had you get there? So you got bit by, you've got a family of, artists bringing you into the art world that got into the theater, and also then, you see your sister on stage. So how does community kind of come in and play a very integral part? Because there is, perfectly said, the mime, right? Who he was on stage, him being
alone, right?
Alone. Right. And we all have those moments, right, of aloneness. but we're really talking about the importance of community, and you specifically being in film and being in theater, and being on TV. There is community. We can do lots of boxes, but in general, how has community played that impact from a child all the way through to where you are today? Big question.
Hi, Suzanne. Hi, Stanley. I would say that's such a great question, Regina, because if you think, I never thought about it, but it's like I'm watching this genius on the stage and thinking that's how it's done. You do it, you're in a bubble. And so I kind of was for several young years. But then when I got into high school, and I was just stealing every show on the stage and having a ball, but I just really was kind of in a bubble in a way. Like I was just doing my thing. And then I got into high school, and I remember we went on one of those I Love New York trips. I went to high school in Burbank. I grew up in Burbank, California. And we went on one of those trips where you see like 93 shows in a week, and you go to all these tourist things and, everything. And our drama teacher had been an actor, or, struggling actor in New York and trying to make it. And he eventually came out west. But he had been a New Yorker, and he took us to Joe Allen, and he took us to like this theater restaurant where all the great people show up after the theater, and I remember walking into that room and going, my tribe. It's my tribe. You could feel it. You could smell it. You could feel it in your bones. And from that moment on, I just knew I had a tribe. And that's how I think of the community. And it took me a long time artistically to catch up with that. It took me a long time to realize I love collaboration more than anything. I really didn't get it for quite a while. I just kept doing what I did. And because I was good, I had a lot of opportunities. I was also very fortunate. I had a lot of opportunities and knew not that I could fail. So away I went. You know what I mean? I didn't think I could fall. So I didn't. And then also my parents met on the stage. They were both in the arts. My mother grew up in the arts too. And it was always we were always taught that you don't create something to fall back on, because then you'll fall back.
Wow.
Ooh.
And so we didn't. None of us did. And you do fall in life, but it has stayed with me in my, I don't know, maybe it's my ingrained philosophy. I don't know if I popped out this way or if I inherited this from my parents, probably a little bit of both. But there's this thing that says, just because people say it can't be done doesn't mean it can't be done. And in fact, my whole career is packed full of things that aren't supposed to be able to happen. Gary Marshall, I met Gary Marshall to be in a movie, interviewed with him to maybe be in a movie he was doing at the time called Mystery Bitch, which was later retitled Overboard. And I left that part was written out of the movie, but he met with me anyway. And I left that meeting with him deciding to write a role for me on a network TV series and give me a lead and give me a chance. So 4 weeks later, I was in a network TV series as a series regular. That's not supposed to happen. It's not only not supposed to happen, it's impossible. That's what they'll tell you, right? But it's like, I wasn't taught about impossible. So, you know what I mean?
Well,
I love that. Don't have a plan B, because there's nothing, you shouldn't have to fall back on anything. Because when you said it, what that meant to me was you're going to give 100% to what it is that you want to do.
You better.
And not have anything else to distract you. So put 100% in whatever that is. That's amazing.
Yeah, school is the time for the safety net. You get to practice. And then, out in the world, well, it's all practice, really. Because let's face it, what do? I play pretend for a living. That's what I do. So it's like, and when I coach people, if I'm coaching actors, I'm always like, you know, there isn't a thing that we do that we didn't do when we were 3 or 4. Everybody. I had a great acting teacher, and also a friend named Diana Castle, and she used to say regularly, there isn't, you know, it's a child's game what we do. We just do it with, she would say, with, you know, adult under adult circumstances. The
Ooh, I
harsh
love
reality.
it.
Yeah.
Patrick's giving us so many great episodes, Raquel. When I watch back on this, I'm like, we're going to do the episode on that. You don't need to fall back on anything. We can write a book, the 3 of us, on that.
Okay.
You know, it's all child's play in adult circumstances. Another great film, play, you know, like
Yeah.
all of that. But I really got to hear the people, right? Because you did say you felt the minute you walked in, there was that, here's my tribe, right? You saw the different types of self-expressions, all of them. I've been to a particular diner in New York City where all the actors and upcoming actors and, you know, the people that are waiting to get on, you know, hoping somebody's sick, you know.
Oh yeah, the understudies, or hoping somebody ever gets sick. Yeah.
Right, exactly. But the understudies, but they're
hoping they really break a leg.
right. But there is this incredible diner in New York City, and it's, you know, if you don't get to afford to go to a play, I would say go afford to this diner, because there they are, and you're eating, and I totally get what you mean. There's a moment in time, boom, the music goes on, people are being their self-expression. You see the people who you're with, your families, your friends, people I don't even know. And now all of a sudden we've went into this diner, like in this community, not really knowing. And then all of a sudden it's a show, and and you feel a part of it, and they engage with you. So I get like the impact that community can have on you. And it starts with one, right? Your parents and how they've influenced you and what you've taken in, and then how that hit you from there. And
I mean, you know, you have to have guides, don't you? You have to have guides. I mean, none of us, you know, Andy, the acting teacher in high school that took us to New York, and you know, he was my guide into that world. He was that guide that said, we're going to go here. And he gave us all a lecture, because we're all California kids. He's like, now you tip heavily for waiters. These people are out of work actors, and this is what you do. And you're polite, and he gave us all, we were like, we went in there like ready to go. But we were like, we revered it. And also the first time I walked into any theater actually was a little community college in Northridge Community College, and my cousin was doing a show, and my dad went, and I went to see him. My dad took me to see him. I was about 5, and that was like, it didn't hook me yet because I was too little, but I still remember it. I still remember the weird magic of being like in this world where it's a magic show, basically. It's like the theater, right? And then going around behind the building, and there's just a piece of black fabric separating all that magic from the street, you know, which is the same on Broadway.
Patrick, I was just about to ask you about Broadway, and you've been on Broadway, film, TV. Is there one that's your favorite?
Nice.
No, because I would have said theater back a long time ago, but I love the work that film makes me do, and I haven't even scratched the surface compared to so many actors. My friend Steven, who's watching right now, I mean, his work is deep on film and television, like deep, like you have to dig for a mile beneath you to get to the gushers that he gets to. And I think I certainly know I'm capable of that, but you know, it depends on the opportunities, depends on what your castability is, depends on who you are and what you present and all of that. But it asks of you, it asks very challenging things of you, film, because you have to be really thinking the thoughts of who you are in the story. You can't be acting them. Gary Marshall told, I have a great story about the late Gary Marshall, who was the director that, he was the producer of Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley and all these classic 80s shows, but he was also the film director, and he directed, you know, Pretty Woman, Beaches, The Other Sister, Runaway Bride, you know, and on and on. So he said to me when we did the TV series, he saw me and watched me in rehearsal. He wasn't directing; he was producing, and he give me a minute. And I came over. And he said, "Don't act for the don't act for the audience," because we had staff watching our dress rehearsal, or maybe it was an audience. I forget. Anyway, I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You're acting for the audience. You're doing your theater thing." I'm like, "Well, yeah, that's my." He's like, "No, you don't act for the audience, because when you act for the audience, the camera is recording you acting for the audience.
Wow.
Your audience is inside the camera." This was a sitcom, and I was like, and he's like, "Think of it like this: you're theater trained. Why would you direct all of your performance to the box when the rest of the theater is there waiting to see your performance?" And I was like, "Oh," and I never forgot it, because it was like a really, like, just common sense, but for a sitcom where you're doing broad comedy, you know, but there's an audience there. It's so tempting. So I've really loved them all, because each one has these great challenges, and plus I just love being in the environment where I do what I do. I love it. I love directing, and I love being you know, in the rehearsal room, and I love being on the set.
So I've got to ask this question in the time that we have left. What about your Tupperware writing and directing? What is that about?
Tupperware. Oh, I direct. Who asked about that?
That's okay.
I can't reveal the source.
She goes she goes right to that, because she loves it so much. They're my biggest fans of my comedy. So aren't you guys? I directed we call it a one-woman show. It's the character's name is Dixie Longate, and she's the country's leading Tupperware saleswoman. And she is from Mobile, Alabama, and she's a crazy character. She's just a nut job of a character, and she was created by the actor Chris Anderson, who is a genius. And he put this person together, and he started a show where he was actually doing a Tupperware party on stage and sold the Tupperware in the lobby afterwards. He was a certified Tupperware salesperson, and he sold every stitch of Tupperware as Dixie Longate. He still sells it, still does it, and is still, by the way, that was 16 or 17 years ago. He asked me to direct the show, and I did, and it is still on national tour.
Well, it's perfect.
Wow.
It's perfect, Patrick, because I think this is really where we can wrap it up, to be able to say that community, and when you do what you love and you really truly give it your all, it makes an impact that lasts a lifetime. And so I'm super excited to have you, and I thank you, because you have made such an impact for over 43 years. We look forward to so much in the future with you. We definitely need for you to come back.
I will.
And you know what? Let me jump in here for a second, Reg. And if you do any shows and you need people who are webcasters or to act as a podcaster,
absolutely.
Do I need to put that out there any clearer?
Yeah, absolutely. I love you guys. You're great.
Patrick, this was so awesome. It was so fantastic to see you. Thank you so much for sharing of yourself and about your parents. We will definitely have you back on, because we need to dig into that conversation some more. But folks, thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it. And remember, together we can rise and thrive.
Yeah.
Till next time.
Bye.